Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Jason White and this is Jason's Weird Reads, and this is my top 2024 book releases I'm looking forward to the most. And of course these are all horror books. I predominantly read horror books, even though I do sometimes read fantasy or science fiction. So if that sounds like your bag and you're new around here, please hit the subscribe button and we'll talk some books. Alright, so I mainly watched a lot of videos to get this list. I usually don't do these lists. This, I think, is the first one. So I watched Thomas's list from SFF 180 and a couple of others. I think I got mostly from his list, though. His was the most extensive, and that's why. But you know, of all the videos, his was I guess the one I actually took the list from. So let's start with January, shall we? I'm not going to give the specific date because these dates, everything in this list is subject to change within the publisher or the author's discretion. It happens all the time. So I'm just going to give you the month of release, and hopefully they stick around. And even the covers can change, because a lot of the covers that you'll see here, they might just be ARC or ARC reading covers, which sometimes differ from the actual finished cover. So here we go. January, I have The Parliament by Amy Pokwatka. So I'm probably butchered that, and I apologize. Now this book is interesting because it involves, it's like The Birds in a way, you know, the Alfred Hitchcock movie that was adapted from a Daphne du Maurier story, I believe, The Birds. This is kind of like that, and it has murderous owls. I'm going to read you the synopsis here. Madeline Purdy is stuck in her hometown library when tens of thousands of owls descend on the building, rending and tearing at anyone foolish enough to step outside. Mad is tasked with keeping her students safe and distracted while they seek a solution to their dilemma. Perhaps they'll find the inspiration they seek in her favorite childhood book, The Silent Queen. With food and fresh water in low supply, the denizens of the library will have to find a way out, and soon, but the owls don't seem to be in a hurry to leave. The Parliament sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to checking that out. Next up in January, and this is the last one for January, is The Wretched Valley by Jenny Kiefer. Now this one is it's influenced in parts by the Dyatlov Pass incident that happened in the 50s, I believe, in Russia. I think it was Russia, or at least the people who disappeared were Russian. And I've been fascinated with that story alone. And I've been wanting to get into fiction that's inspired by that, and this is in part inspired by that. Here is the synopsis for it. 4 ambitious climbers hike into the Kentucky wilderness. 7 months later, 3 mangled bodies are discovered. Were their deaths simple accidents or the result of something more sinister? This nail-biting, bone-chilling survival horror is inspired by the infamous Dyatlov Pass incident and is perfect for fans of Alma Katsu and Showtime's Yellow Jackets. So 4 people go into the woods. They're going to go climb some mountains, and 3 bodies are found. Where's the 4th person? And what story do they have if that person is found? It sounds fascinating. I love that kind of concept. I just hope it's pulled off in the way that I'll like. Of course, it's just my opinion. If not, nobody needs to worry about that. All right, here's some February releases that I'm looking forward to. First up is Your Shadow Half Remains by Sunny Moraine. And I don't know too much about the author or this book, but I really love the cover, and I'm going to read you the synopsis because this is what really pulled me in. Riley has not seen a single human face in longer than she can reckon. No faces, no eyes, not if you want to survive. But when a neighbor moves in down the road, Riley's overwhelming need for human contact makes her throw caution to the wind. Somehow, in this world where other people can mean a gruesome, bloody death, Ellis makes her feel safe. As they grow closer, Riley's grip on reality begins to slip, and she can no longer fight her deepest desires. All Riley wants to do is look. So it seems to me like maybe Riley was a little bit off in the first place, but I really like the idea of playing with reality and kind of going mad. I like those types of stories. Also in February is Ein Hollow by Tim McGregor. It's been a while since I've read a Tim McGregor book. This one sounds awesome. Here's the synopsis. Orkney Islands, 1797. Agnes Tulloch feels a little cheated. This windswept place is not the island paradise her husband promised it to be when they wed. Now with 4 young children, she struggles to provide for her family, while her husband grows increasingly distant. When a stranger comes ashore to rent an abandoned cottage, Agnes and the other islanders are abuzz with curiosity. Who is this wealthy foreigner, and why on earth would he come to Ein Hollow? Her curiosity is soon replaced with a vexation when her husband hires her out as a cook and washerwoman, leaving Agnes with no say in the matter. Very nice of the guy. Agnes begrudgingly befriends this aristocrat in exile, a mercurial scientist who toils night and day on some secret pursuit. Despite herself, she's drawn to this dark, brooding charm. And who is this Byronic stranger sweeping Agnes off her feet? His name is Frankenstein, and he's come to this remote isle to fulfill a monstrous obligation. So this is a continuation of the Frankenstein story in a sense. So I'm very much looking forward to that. All right, into March now. We have The Haunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Keist. Now, this book was sent to me by the publisher on request by Gwendolyn Keist herself, because she is going to be coming on the show here at Jason's Weird Reads to discuss this book. And I love Gwendolyn Keist's work. She made my top 10 of the year with Reluctant Immortals, and so I'm looking very much forward into digging into this book. This is an ARC copy. Let us read the synopsis. The Velkwood vicinity was the topic of cult theorists, tabloid one-hour documentaries, and even some pseudoscientific investigations as the block of homes disappeared behind a near-impenetrable veil that only 3 survivors could enter, and only one in the past 20 years until now. Talitha Velkwood has avoided doing anything to do with the tragedy that took her mother and 8-year-old sister, drifting from one job to another, never settling anywhere or with anyone, feeling as trapped by her past as if she was still there in the small town she so desperately wanted to escape from. But when a new researcher tracks her down and offers to pay her to come back to enter the vicinity, Talitha claims she's just doing it for the money. Of all the crackpot theories over the years, no one has discovered what happened the night Talitha, her estranged former best friend Brett, and Grace escaped their homes 20 years ago. Will she finally get the answer she's been looking for all these years? Or is this just another dead end? So this book sounds quite interesting, and as I said, I love Gwendolyn Keist's writing, and so this sounds haunting in very much sense of the word there. All right, next up I have A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. Now this book, I've never heard of the author before, but whoever, I think it was Thomas from SFF 180, read the synopsis. I was like, I gotta read this book. So here is the synopsis. It's an unusual thing to live in a botanical garden, but Simon and Gregor are an unusual pair of gentlemen. Hidden away in their glass sanctuary from the disapproving tattle of Victorian London, they are free to follow their own interests without interference. For Simon, this means long hours in the dark basement workshop, working as taxidermical art. Gregor's business is exotic plants, lucrative but harmless enough, until his latest acquisition, a strange fungus which shows signs of intellect beyond any plants he has seen, and it inspires him to attempt a masterwork, True Intelligent Life from Plant Matter. So this is like a fungi that he has come across, and me and Fungus, we just get along so very well. All right, March here is the biggest month so far. There's still 2 more. Forgotten Sisters by Cynthia Paleo. I have yet to read any novels by Cynthia, and I'm hoping this one will be the first of many. Here's the synopsis. Sisters Anna and Jenny live in a historic bungalow on the Chicago River. They're tethered to a disquieting past, and with nowhere else to go, nothing can part them from their family home. Not the maddening creaks and disembodied voices that rattle the old walls. Not the inexplicable drownings in the area, or the increasing number of bodies that float by Anna's window. That would be pretty freaky right there. To stave off loneliness, Anna has a podcast, spinning ghostly tales of Chicago's tragic history. But when Anna captures the attention of an ardent male listener, she awakens the possibilities of a world outside. As their relationship grows, so does Jenny's fears. More and more people are going missing in the river. And then 2 detectives come calling. They're looking for a link between the mysteries of the river and what's housed on the bank. Even Anna and Jenny don't understand how dreadful it is, and still can be, when the truth about their unsettled lives begins to surface. So there's a few things in here that really, really interest me about this story. First off, I like that there's I like the haunting and the weird things that seem to be going, like the bodies floating by a window. But I really enjoy the idea of the podcast, spinning ghostly tales of Chicago's tragic history. I'm kind of hoping that this book has a ton of ghostly tales of Chicago's tragic history, because Chicago and big older Western cities like it seem like they could be very haunted indeed, and I just love that kind of thing. So this seems like a great book to get into. All right, next up for the last of March is Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones, and I don't want to read a synopsis for this one for fear of spoilers, but most of us horror fans here know what it's about. Now, I'm going to make this a bit of a reading project too, because I read the first one, My Heart is a Chainsaw, a year and a half ago approximately, and so I want to reread it. And I haven't read the second book yet, Don't Fear the Reaper, which I bought recently, and I want to read this as well. And then by the end of March, hopefully, I will read Angel of Indian Lake. All right, so Don't Fear the Reaper and The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. I'm really looking forward to reading those. Okay, we're moving into April now, and I only have one for April, and that's Cranberry Cove by Haley Piper. This book sounds like a hoot. I want to catch up on my Haley Piper, so hopefully I can do that in 2024. But here's what Cranberry Cove is. Apparently, Haley Piper's releasing like 4 titles in 2024. That's insane. All right, so what's been happening at Cranberry Cove? It's unspeakable. It's unspoken. Emberly Hale is about to take a dark journey inside the Derelict Hotel and inside her own past to find out the horrible truth. So that's very light on what this book is about, but I really like the idea of a derelict hotel. Haunted hotels and that type of thing, they just do it for me. All right. Next up, I have Ghost Station. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're in April. Next up, I have Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. Now, this is her second book, and it's also a space horror book. I really enjoyed the first one, the first book being Dead Silence. That book I found was a lot of fun. I felt that people were really hard on it, and I was kind of hard on it as well, because it feels like part of the story is missing from it. And maybe some people are disappointed by what was going on, but this book I'm looking forward to. I want to see what she can do in this book. And so Ghost Station, this is what the synopsis is. Space exploration can be lonely and isolating. Psychologist Dr. Ophelia Bray has dedicated her life to the study and prevention of ERS, which is a spaced based condition, most famous for a case that resulted in the brutal murders of 29 people. When she's assigned to a small exploration crew, she's eager to make a difference. But as they begin to establish a residency on an abandoned planet, it becomes clear that the crew is hiding something. While Ophelia is focused on her new role, her crewmates are far more interested in investigating the eerie ancient planet and unraveling the mystery behind the previous colonizers' hasty departure than opening up to her. That is, until their pilot is discovered gruesomely murdered. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it did. Is this Ophelia's worst nightmare starting? A wave of violence and mental deterioration from ERS? Or is it something more sinister? Terrified that history will repeat itself, Ophelia and the crew must work together to figure out what's happening. But trust is hard to come by, and the crew isn't the only one keeping secrets. So I love space horror, and I'm hoping that I hope this one is as awesome as it sounds. Okay, next up, The Day of the Door by Laurel Hightower. Now, I really love Laurel Hightower's novellas. Her book Below made my top 10 list of 2023, and I'm hoping this is one that will as well. I haven't read her novel yet that was released recently, about the ocean or something, but I plan on reading that as well. It was released in 2023, but I really want to read this one because this one sounds awesome. All right, here's the synopsis. 3 grieving siblings confront their manipulative mother after learning of her participation in a popular paranormal television show designed to dramatize the most traumatic day of their childhood, pitched as The Haunting of Hill House meets A Head Full of Ghosts. I just love the idea of that. All right, next up, we're moving into May. I only have one for May here, and I should mention here, I guess, that that I don't go throughout the whole year. The farther you get into the year, the less information there is about any other releases. So you kind of have to maybe do another one of these videos around June. So in May, there's only one book, and it's by the King, Stephen King, and it's You Like It Darker. And this is a collection of short stories by Mr. King, and there's probably a novella in there or two. So I like what it says in the synopsis on the page there. It says, "You like it darker? Fine, so do I." That's what Stephen King wrote in the afterword to this magnificent new collection of 12 stories. And there's an interesting story in here that is a sequel to Cujo, so that would be really interesting. All right, moving into June, there's a few here. First up in June is Small Town Horror by Ronald Malfi. Here's the synopsis for this. 5 childhood friends are forced to confront their own dark pasts, as well as the curse placed upon them in this horror masterpiece from best-selling author of Come With Me. Maybe this is a ghost story. Andrew Larimer thought he left the past behind, but when he receives a late-night phone call from an old friend, he finds he has no choice but to return home and to confront the memories and the horror of a night years ago that changed everything. For Andrew and his friends, the past is not dead, and the curse that has befallen them now threatens to destroy all that they've become. I just love that idea of returning home. I've never left my hometown, so it's kind of alien to me, but I know that if I had left and I came back, it would be like all filled with nostalgia, and both good and bad. I guess nostalgia can't necessarily be bad, but it'd be filled with good memories and the bad memories, and I would become slightly obsessed with that. And so I really enjoy the idea. I mean, Ronald Malfi's Blackmouth played around with that idea a lot. Next up, we have How to Make a Horror Movie and Survive by Craig DeLuey. Now, episode 13, I read that in 2023, and it didn't even make an honorable mention, but I did enjoy it. I didn't hate that book. There's parts of it that I didn't really like, but I really want to read another book by him, so here is the synopsis for this. Horror isn't horror unless it's real. Max Murray should be on top of the world. He's a famous horror director. Actors love him. Hollywood needs him. He's making money hand over fist. But it's the 80s, and he's directing cheap slashers for audiences who only care about more blood, not real art, not real horror. And Max's slimy producer refuses to fund any of his new ideas. Sally Priest dreams of being the final girl. She knows she's got what it takes to score the lead role, even if she's only been cast in small parts so far. When Sally meets Max at his latest rap party, she sets out to impress him and prove her scream queen prowess. But when Max discovers an old camera that filmed a very real Hollywood horror, he knows that he has to use this camera for his next movie. The only problem is that it came with a cryptic warning, and sometimes it wails. By the time Max discovers the true evil lying within, she's already set on finishing the scariest movie ever put to film. He's already dead set on finishing the scariest movie ever put to film. And like it or not, Sally's time to shine as the final girl. So this book sounds interesting. I love horror movies, and I have a fascination for some, horror movie history. And this sort of leads into the next one I'm really excited about, and that's Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. Here's the synopsis for this. I really need to catch up on my Paul Tremblay, and I'm hoping to do that in 2023 as well. 2024. So, Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. In June 1993, a group of young guerrilla filmmakers spend 4 weeks making a horror movie, a notorious, disturbing art house horror flick. The weird part, only 3 of the film's scenes were ever released to the public, but Horror Movie has nevertheless grown a rabid fan base. 3 decades later, Hollywood is pushing for a big budget reboot, as they often do. The man who played the Thin Kid is the only surviving cast member. He remembers all too well the secrets buried within the original screenplay, the bizarre events of the filming, and the dangerous crossed lines on sets that resulted in tragedy. As memories flood back in, the boundaries between reality and film, past and present, start to blur, but he's going to help remake the film, even if it means navigating a world of cynical producers, egomaniacal directors, and surreal fan conventions. Demons of the past be damned. But at what cost? Horror Movie is an obsessive, psychologically chilling, and suspenseful twist on the cursed film that breathlessly builds to an unforgettable, mind-bending conclusion. So, as I said, I love it when horror movie or horror books are based on horror movies, and so this will be a lot of fun. All right, in July, I'm really looking forward to a couple here. And the first one is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. Now, this one doesn't have a cover or any details about what the book is about, but it's Grady Hendrix, and I love Grady Hendrix, and so I'm very much looking forward to this book. But also in July, there is this book, I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. That's 2 books in 1 year. Here's the synopsis for this. 1989, La Mesa, Texas, a small West Texas town driven by oil and cotton, and a place where everyone knows everyone else's business. So it goes for Tolly Driver, a good kid with more potential than application, 17, and about to be cursed to kill for revenge. Here, Stephen Graham Jones explores the Texas he grew up in, the unfairness of being on the outside through the slasher horror he lives, but from the perspective of the killer Tolly, writing his own autobiography. So it sounds like it might be autofiction. Find yourself rooting for a killer in the summer teen movie of a novel gone full-blood curdling tragic. Sounds awesome. And the final book here, finally, is in August, and it is A Mask of Flies by Matthew Lyons. So here is a short synopsis for this. A Mask of Flies by Matthew Lions is a crime horror novel which blends It Follows and The Outsider with a pinch of The Evil Dead, in which a criminal and the cop she's taken hostage must find their way to safety, pursued by threats, both human and supernatural, after a failed bank robbery. I love crime horror novels, and so this one sounds like a blast, honestly. So there is my list of horror books. I'm looking forward to brand new releases in 2024. Horror books that I'm most looking forward to. So please tell me what of these books or any other releases that maybe I missed that you're looking forward to. Tell me those deep down there in the darkness. And thank you for watching, my weird friends. My weird friends. Keep being safe. Keep being creative. And I'll catch you guys in the next bookish video.